Hey guys, what's up? Such here. Today I'm going to be doing a couple different videos. These are a recap of my invitational tournament this past weekend. So for those who aren't aware, 9moons held a Duelyst Invitational that included me and 7 other people. I guess the results are public now, so spoiler alert. I ended up getting 3rd in the event. Good for me. So people kept referring to me as like a dark horse, considering I haven't played in the tournament scene for a long time. But for those who aren't aware, back in the day when I used to play all the time, I tended to do pretty well in the tournament circuit. In any case, what I want to do today is to go through the games that I played and talk about moves that I made and other decisions that I had during the tournament. I'm not going to talk about deck building stuff. I'm going to write an article about that, and presumably at this point in time I already have. I'll link it in the description below, and there you'll be able to see all my deck lists as well. So I'm not going to include any discussion of the deck lists or why I went into card choices here. If you want to check that out, check out my article. Alright, so my very first match was against NowayitsJ, who has really made a name for himself as a tournament aficionado. And as someone who hadn't played in the tournament scene in a while, I was worried about what it might entail. So just so we're clear, each person in this tournament got to ban one of their opponent's generals. NowayitsJ banned my Argion, I believe, and I banned his Faie. I just never want to play against Faie if I can help it. My generals for this event were Argion, Vath, Casivia, and Faie. And my overarching plan was to start with Casivia each time, if I was allowed to, because of the ability for me to learn a little bit more about my opponent's decks. So Casivia is probably the deck that I presumed would go on the longest, which would, if I won the match, give me more insight into what my opponent was playing. If they had any sort of tech choices, if they were playing unusual things I need to be worried about in future games, which is why I started with it in this round as future rounds when I was able to. So let's jump in the first game. So it's the sort of mirror. It's Abyssian versus Abyssian. I didn't get to talk about my mulligan choices, but I presume that they were pretty obvious. I'm going to do it on not real time and just talk about things when I have the opportunity. Alright, so NowayitsJ makes a pretty standard opening of taking my mana tile, which is annoying, and then playing, I think, yeah, Furiosa. Okay. So my thought right here is I'm pretty quickly going to throw back this Nether Summoning. It's not a card that I want right now, especially in the early game for a couple reasons. I'm not going to have the mana to cast it, and who wants to get back a couple 2-drops? So you want to cast Nether Summoning when you have, like, a Spectral Revenant and something else awesome. So I'm going to throw that away, and then presumably cast one of my oozes in an opportune spot. Because I really want to get this Furiosa, I don't want him to be able to come up here. If I put this ooze here, I can pretty much make sure that I'm going to get to kill it if he wants to cast a 4-drop. So that's why I placed that bad boy there. I assumed that he would take the mana tile but then run away, and that is what ended up happening. Alright. Our opponent plays Cryptographer, uses Bloodborne spell, attacks the ooze, and then I believe spheres it to kill off ooze. I bet at the time NowayitsJ thought this was a pretty ideal setup for his spawns. It stops me from getting this mana spring just about any which way. Unfortunately for him, I do have both Demonic Alert and Grasp of Agony, so I can kill everything, including the Furiosa, which is going to be the most problematic card in like a turn. One thing to note that the casters, I think, were a little confused about, the red tile here is actually NowayitsJ's, so it would have been ideal to like throw his Furiosa here, and I could have taken 2 less damage. But I can't actually do this. And I think it's probably better to deny him the mana anyway. So what I end up doing here is Demonic Luring down here. Oh, hold on. I'll talk about why I replaced that in a second. Demonic Lure down here, grasp this, kill it, and I've basically cleared the board, but for this Cryptographer. The reason I got rid of the Mystic is there's no real reason I needed that right this second, right? I'm at 25 life. It's maybe helpful to cast next turn, but at this point, I kind of want to start looking for, some of my powerful 4-drops like Kailana or the big Juggernaut guy. All right. So this is a pretty ideal start for. I mean, this is a pretty great thing to have happened. The fact that I could kill all those guys based on the spawn. Oh, how funny. But that being said, if they were up here, I could have thrown it here and then had it explode and dealt with everything. So there you go. Alright. Opponent plays Deathfire Crescendo after Shadows spawning. And then ends up getting to kill... Darkfire sacrificed this even because it was going to die anyway because it landed on the Shadow Creep. Okay. I guess my turn already went. Okay, well, I had to deal with this Cryptographer. So I threw it down here and killed it, combined with the Demonic Lure damage, my general damage, and the Shadow Creep damage. Notably, I don't... Was this up? I don't think... Oh, okay. I couldn't... It might seem like it would be obvious to ping the Wraithling, but I can't do that, because if I ping the Wraithling, this gets buffed, and I can't let it survive. I have to kill it, because it'll get out of control. So, as tempting as it was to quote-unquote clear the board, that actually wouldn't result in a clear board at all. So, I resisted the natural inclination to ping this 1/1, and instead use my last mana to throw this Abyssal Crawler down. Maybe it would have been better to keep it in hand, just try to find something, better, especially since I have this Kailana in hand, but I don't know. I like getting this stuff down. I don't have a whole lot of cards, it's true, so I think I maybe got lucky, but I had this Klaxon, so. And it forced him to use this Demonic Lure, because he doesn't know I have Klaxon. And that was actually pretty ideal. He had nothing in his hand, and then he used a Demonic Lure on a 2/1 instead of saving it for this impending 6/6 provoke. I threw away the Punish on my turn, because at this point I'm really just, if I'm not casting a spell, I'm trying to replace it, try to find like a Spectral Revenant and Obliterate, maybe some card draw, or something like Abyssal Juggernaut. Alright, we dropped the Klaxon. Good for us. At this point I'm feeling pretty confident. And I guess I hit him, yeah. Boop. Alright. This right of the Undervault was very surprising to me, because he had 3 cards in hand, and it was a 6-mana play, so he's drawing 3 cards, basically, spending his whole turn to do that, when I'm just going to get to smash him in for, like, 11 here. He ended up still having that Darkfire Sacrifice, so he could cast this 2-drop, which is kind of convenient for him. Although, I'll be surprised, I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised he didn't put it right here so that the Ooze couldn't hit him. I don't know what the reason for that was. There's some thought as to whether I should have thrown away this Mystic here. I liked keeping it because I was going to play it. Like, I'm playing this Juggernaut, and I'm pinging the Azure Herald to clear the Azure Herald, since the Ooze spawned a thing underneath it, which was nice. And so I have the opportunity to throw this Healing Mystic away to try to find something better, but I could just also get it on the board like it's as another body. And in particular, I like having it because I'm going to do something up here, which I really like to do if I'm in a dominant position. Klaxon's voice. All right. So I am going to surround Klaxon on this sort of diagonal. Oh man, resolve. There we go. Okay, so this is gonna die, and I put the provoke unit up here in this corner and surrounded it on both sides by 2 minions. So that means that my opponent can't use like an ephemeral shroud or a lightbender to get out of it. He has to have one of those 2 creatures and then something else to get it, into one of these spots here, something like that. So this is a really powerful sort of placement option. If you've got a provoke unit, put it in the corner and surround it on the 2 orthogonal sides to protect it from these sort of placement directed effects. Like you can't repulsor beast it away too. All right, my opponent's at 6. I'm at 14. I can't imagine how he would burst me out with 7 mana from 14. I mean, I guess a series of like void pulses might do it, but that didn't happen. Shunk. He would have needed to deal with my 6/6 and my 8/8 and hope that I don't draw anything. Okay, we'll go to game number 2. So I have Voth, and I don't remember which one I had, but I think he banned my Archeon. I don't know, but I know I had Voth next, so I wanted to play that. This hand's pretty bad. It's okay. I mean, I'm going to throw back the Mckinter War Beast, and I'll probably throw back one of the Spelljammers. It's really not very helpful to have multiple Spelljammers in your hand and a sort of a hand that doesn't have anything else going on. So we'll see if that's what I actually do. I could see throwing away this, but I probably would want to keep this for all the... I don't know what he has going on, right? There we go. He could have any number of like obelisk strategies. I don't know what his deck's doing at this point in time. Spoiler alert. Won't be the last time we see Zirix. All right, my opponent plays Pax. Okay, I don't think they streamed this match because, well, I don't think they streamed this game. I think this play is really cool. I'm pretty proud of myself for it. So I replace into exactly 0 cards that I can actually play. And so my thought process is like, all right, well, where do I go now? Because if he just takes this mana tile, that's such a blowout. So I opted to try a little gambit here, just go straight up, hoping that the Pax would follow, and it did. So, good for me. So it stopped him from playing a 4-drop, even though he did get these 2 mana tiles, which is kind of annoying. All right. So many things are happening. I'm actually sort of happy with how this is all going. So I've got this Plasma Storm in hand. I really want to get as much value from this as possible. I don't know what he has planned for next turn, but what I do know is that I can let these Paxes like hit me or a creature and then kill everything in just a second. Yeah. So I'm going to place this. I don't want to place the Spelljammer because I actually want to keep the Spelljammer. And then if I play the Spelljammer, I lose a card anyway. So my plan is Entropic Gaze, play the Azure Herald. And there's about a 0% chance that hold on, I want to pause this for a second. It's going too fast. It's not doing what I wanted. I want to talk a minute about why I place it here. So one thing to note about Battle Pets is that Battle Pets always activate in the order that they are played. So I knew that this one was going to activate first. It's a sort of a minor thing because I could have put the Azure Herald either here or here. I was really hoping that when the Pax came and hit the Azure Herald, that one of the Iron Dervishes would spawn right here. I had a 2/3 chance that would happen. I just got the 1/3 unluckiness. Because then if one of the Iron Dervishes spawns right here, his Azure Herald can't come hit me. And I don't really care where these Dervishes go because they're all going to blow up anyway. But this is kind of convenient that he can't come attack me with his General if he wanted to. The reason I let the Azure Herald take the hit too, by the way, is because there's 100% chance that I'm Plasma Storming, even if you play something like Allomancer. Golly. This is probably the best Plasma Storm I've cast in a long time. Like, whoosh. It's like the 5th time I've ever played that Spelljammer, too. Get out of here. Whoosh. Even though I just got a lot of value on that Plasma Storm, it's important to note that we both still have 6 cards in hand. So it's not like I had this overwhelming advantage from that play. I just sort of got back to parity. And as a lot of people will know, if you're at parity, whoever's turn it is sort of has the advantage because they get to place their minions and then they get to have the first chance to attack with their minions. So it's the whole point of like a tempo game. So even though I was able to sort of deal with this really awkward start, I wouldn't say that I'm in the driver's seat at this point in time. So let's see what our opponent does. Opponent plays a Sojourner and an Iron Shroud. I think that's it, right? You might pump one. Alright, so I get rid of this Diretide Frenzy, I find this Earth Sphere, and this is a pretty easy Macantor Warbeast. Sort of. The question is, what exactly am I doing? So I think it's pretty obvious. Like I could do, I don't know. I could come forward here and put it here, and then Macantor, kill everything and attack. But I think the much better play is to play Macantor here, come forward, take the mana tile, Greater Fortitude. That way I get to kill this and then clear this as well. So I essentially deny him the mana tile and do him a couple more points of damage. And from here, by the way, I feel pretty solid. So he had the opportunity to rest, like take control of the board. I feel like the Sojourner plus 2/2 play is pretty mediocre from what he like potentially could have done. To be fair, if he played like a Nimbus or something, I could have just natural selected it. Speaking of Nimbus, so maybe he thought that this was like a play that would have been slightly better than Nimbus. I don't know. Okay, so our opponent Iron Shrouds. Runs away. Plays an Adjudicator. Okay, so pause. The fact that he played Adjudicator right here made me stop because I was like, what in the world is happening right now? This isn't a card you see that often. And my immediate thought was, oh, he's playing some sort of combo deck, probably with Aurora's Tears. So keep that in mind. This was like my first clue that I should be prepared for just about anything and potentially a lot of like OTK shenanigans. As it is right now, I can put him to 6, but I can put him to 1 with this, but drawing this Macantor right here just means it's game over. So whoop, everything's dead. I flashed it and then Thumping Waved it for a little extra help in a BM, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Our opponent takes a bajillion and then takes another quadrillion. Alright, so we're up 2-0. I think the last... I don't know what I have left, but he has all of his generals left. I lied. He banned my Argeon, so we have Faie left. That's all we have to win. And he still has all of his guys. Our opponent scoots forward, plays a Pax. Typical. Alright. We replace one of these Chromatic Cold. So just as a important note, I probably should have Chromatic Colded this. I usually don't like to waste a Chromatic Cold on a Pax for a number of reasons. It's a pretty solid card in this matchup. It deals with Aymara Healer, it deals with Nimbus, it deals with all these obelisks, right? So like, this is an incredible removal spell in this matchup. And you can deal with Pax so many other ways just by like, you just take a couple hits and you basically killed the thing. So I don't normally like to do that, but in this particular matchup, I know that he is running some weird deck. The only real good targets that I've seen for this card are Sojourners. So it might have been just bad luck, but the Adjudicator made me think that he was doing something weird, and I might not see a whole lot of those, obelisks at least. So in any case, I replace it. Yep. And then I think I elect to, place the Cryptographer here. I'm going to hope that he doesn't take this mana tile. Because we can play the Scorn to kill it. Yes, that's right, it goes up again. Scorn kills it this turn, and oh, never mind, Scorn doesn't kill it anymore, but that was my thought. We can Scorn and then just like attack. Okay, he plays another Pax. That's all he does. So he plays it here, obviously, to stop me from getting it, which is kind of annoying. I think I replaced this Concealing Shroud. I really don't need it right now. I'm really bad with this card. Like, I never want it until I absolutely need it, and then I never end up drawing it unless I get lucky. So what I think that I do is the following. One of the things that I think people don't appreciate about Pax enough is that you can plan where the units are going to go and use that to your advantage. So I could have even negated him one of the units by just like playing this, moving my Cryptographer here and playing the Scorn here, and he'd only get one Dervish. But instead, I move the Cryptographer here, and then I'm going to play the Scorn here, ensuring that one of the Dervishes spawns here, and that lets this Warbird kill it. So it's a nice way to like pick off one for free. Yeah, get out of here, Concealing Shroud. And then this Pax is going to run into the Cryptographer on my turn, or on his turn. So I don't need to attack it or anything like that. And then I can attack him. Because I feel like I have a pretty solid board presence right now, especially with my Bloodborne spell coming online again, and a Cryptographer in hand, and just all this other stuff. Take that. Yeah. Plays an Artifact Hunter. So yeah, here I was basically, he basically showed his hand of, I'm playing this weird OTK artifact deck. All right, I got to get the free value here since he moved on to a spot where I could Warbird him. Yeah, and then I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to Frostbone Naga because it kills this, and I get to kill this as well and deals him too. So it's a pretty good way to clear his board and develop my own. At this point in time, I almost feel like I should get rid of this Enfeeble. Like, I don't know. It's such a nice safeguard to have, but it doesn't deal damage, and he's almost dead. Like, we've got so much damage that we can just burst him with. Yeah, because, like, he's at 12 right now, and we can put him to, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Yeah, right now I'm just trying to find damage. So, I think here my thought was clear the board, because then he can't use his guys to clear my guys, which means sort of ultimately more damage to him. I'm also at 17, so even though I had my concerns about how much damage he can burst, I didn't really put a lot of stock into him blowing me out here, but we'll see what happens. So the obvious play is I'm going to Cryptographer in Hearthsister to nab this Adjudicator and kill it, and then I'll have 2 more mana left over so I can play this Flameblood Warlock. Maybe I should just not have played Flameblood Warlock. That's something to think about too. If I hadn't played it, by the way, I would have lost. Alright, so we kill this guy. We put him to 3, I think. Put him to 4. Funnily enough, so what I should have done here, since I was afraid of the OTK, I should have just attacked him, because that plays around Time Maelstrom, but I wasn't really thinking about Time Maelstrom as being a part of this combo, so here we go. 1 staff, 2 staff. Red staff, blue staff. Aurora's healers. Take 10. Time Maelstrom. It's a tie. Oh well. Bonk. Yeah, what I should have done, I think, was I could have, instead of going down and killing the 2/2, I could have just moved to the left and attacked him. Puts him to 2, leaves his Dervish on the board, but it means that my Warbird next turn is lethal. I couldn't help but feel like maybe I could have done something different that last turn to win, but I don't know. Just don't know. Maybe I could have. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch that last turn, see if I could have had lethal. Anyway, we have to redo the game because it was a tie, so let's go to game number 3.5. Okay. Side note, I just went back and rewatched it, and yeah, I definitely easily had lethal, considering I had 2 mana I could have used for Chromatic Hold instead of a Heart Sister, and just smashed his face in with my general. So, missed a pretty easy lethal in that last game. Feels kind of silly, but there you have it. It's important to note when we make mistakes, not get wrapped up in them. Although, if I had, I don't know. I think what ended up happening was I ended up replacing a little later in the turn, and then I was roping when I was trying to make my movements, so I didn't even think about, because I replaced into the Chromatic Hold, so I didn't even think about just trying for lethal. Foolish! Alright. This opening hand's okay. I mean, we're probably going to easily get rid of this Concealing Shroud, because it's not a card you need at the beginning of the game, right? And my opponent has nothing. I'll also point out here, by the way, that I got rid of Enfeeble. I probably should have gotten rid of it in the Shroud, because I'm not casting this for a long time either, but both of these cards I'm not really casting for a while. I think that NowayitsJ got a little unlucky on a couple counts. First of all, he started every game as the first player, which I think is generally a little bit disfavored. He also ended up getting paired up, I think, against some pretty awkward matchups. Like, this has to be a good matchup for me. I'm running multiple Frostbone Nagas against his Dervish deck, and, like, Cryptographer and Warbird just blow out all these random Dervish spawns sometimes. So, I think this has to be a good matchup for me. I don't know necessarily about the other ones, but the Abyss one felt pretty good for me as well, so... Alright, so we put it here. We don't want to put it in a spot where he can come hit it, so we put it just slightly out of range. It doesn't have any relevant ability, so I don't really give a crap about it getting silenced or anything like that. This is a pretty awesome setup for us. We get to use this Naga to full effect. Kill this guy. Also Warbird you at the same time. Like, good times. So already I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. Like, we killed his one guy, put him to 19, and blocked him off from these mana tiles. So we have both life total and tempo. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to cover my mouth, but so we got a pretty lucky spawn here in that we can just kill it with Warbird. If this had not spawned there, this had spawned like just about anywhere else, we could have probably killed it with Frostbone Naga and Chromatic Cold if we wanted to. The only bad spawns really would have been here and here, because in either of those cases we couldn't have been able to kill the... We would have basically had to like do a little bit more finagling. This wouldn't have gotten nearly as much value. But even if that happens, I think what we just do is like Chromatic Cold this, ping it, come here, attack, you know, this with our general, and attack him with the Naga, and then do something else. So like it's not the end of the world regardless. As it stands, we got Warbird here, so we can just Warbird, ping this, and Chromatic Cold this too. Man, I almost thought about just Warbirding and playing Scorn, but that would be a bad idea because then my guy would die. All right. One thing to note here is I'm aligning my guys in a line here so that we can't be blown up by Star's Fury. It's also important that like if he somehow has the blast artifact, he can't get in front and blast the whole line. I've positioned it so that he can't like move in front and then blast away. So I mean, I guess he could if he had like Time Maelstrom that had been reduced, but he probably doesn't. And here at this point, winning feels a little academic because he's at 10. We've got 5 power worth of minions on the board plus our general, so we only have to do a little bit of damage here. Yepper. That placement, I don't think he could have known. I mean, he knew I had Frostbone Naga, so like if he had put it in a spot where I couldn't deal him damage and come attack him at the same time, then he could have survived this one turn, I think. But and that's all she wrote. All right. Well, I hope you appreciate this little tournament talk through. This was my first match against NowayitsJ. I've got 2 more coming up, so I guess maybe I'll add a little button here or something like this to go to the next video. It'll probably be in a playlist or something like that. Anyway, stay tuned for that.